How can improving your communication skills impact your career success? When people think about communication, they think about their ability to be able to convey information to other people. What would happen if there was a much more effective and powerful way of thinking about that would actually impact your career success? Have you ever been given a task at work with no opportunity to be able to better understand it, to negotiate it, or to really understand what it was that you were committing to do? Let's see if we can change that. Imagine a work environment if instead of just being assigned endless tasks and feeling like you were being treated like a mushroom, in other words, kept in the dark and having things thrown at you, that you could actually create an environment where you have co-invention, design, co-creation with your colleagues, and you feel like you were doing something purposeful and meaningful on an ongoing basis. At the end of this video, you'll understand how to shift from simply being a task taker to someone who makes real commitments, and how that can have a significant impact on your career momentum and also your joy at work. Taking ownership of your work in this way can transform both your professional and your personal life. So when we think about communication, what we're failing to recognize is that our common sense, how we think about how we engage with the world, how we interpret what's going on, how we interact with other people, really shapes our ability to be able to communicate effectively with them. Common sense is the automatic way that we make decisions, that we make sense of things, and that we progress our purpose and our efforts and our projects. But we're kind of blind to it. We don't really pay a whole lot of attention to it over time. Think about it like a fish swimming in the sea. If you asked a fish how they were doing and what they were swimming in, they wouldn't be able to, well, obviously fish can't talk to you, but they wouldn't be able to answer you because to them, they don't see it. It's how they live. It's sort of like the air that we breathe. And so for them, it's not something that they see. Our common sense is like that. We swim around in it, we live in it every single day, and we don't necessarily take time to understand it or even necessarily able to see it for ourselves. Sometimes other people can see it for us, but we have to train ourselves to be able to see it for ourselves. So our common sense around how we communicate is getting the message across. What if the common sense around how we communicate was actually how we made promises and commitments to other human beings? Because we communicate for the purposes of getting work done. Now also sometimes we're conveying ideas and we're just having a chat. But when it comes to work, we're communicating for the purposes of getting work done. But the most effective way to be able to get work done is to understand how promises, negotiations, commitments, mutual promises actually work to create a structure that allows us to be able to manage work together much more effectively and to build a shared understanding of what it is that we're doing. So a new common sense is communication is about getting work done. It's not just about sharing information or not just about completing tasks. If you work in a task completion mindset, you don't necessarily have another human being that you're delivering for. Sometimes you just have a checklist. And if you want to come into work every single day and only engage with a checklist and never feel like you're delivering value to another human being, you're going to be living in an environment that is depressing and boring and not going to make you feel fulfilled. There's a big difference between tasks and promises. So if I'm a relatively new person in an organization or I'm a junior person in an organization, lots of times I'll just get tasks assigned to me and I'll even lose track of who assigned those tasks to me. And I never put myself in a position where I'm deeply understanding what the task is, why I'm doing it, what it's going to take for the task to be super successful, what it's going to take for my customer to be very happy with what I've done. Lots of times I don't even know who my customer is. So I'm working in this endless hamster wheel of tasks that need to be checked off and done. And if I'm not able to raise my head above the parapet and be able to see why I'm doing it, how it's adding value to the company, how it's adding value to my team, and who my customer is, not as just a name or a department, but as a human being who's trying to make something happen, I'm missing out on a huge opportunity to be able to calibrate that value and learn how to move what I'm contributing up the value chain and therefore to be able to move my career and move my opportunities to get promoted. Most people in organizations struggle with commitments, and the reason why they struggle with commitments is because they're overwhelmed. We've all got so much we need to get done in a day that no sane person would actually put their name to it and put their skin in the game and actually make a commitment. So what you're trying to do with the idea of making commitments is you're trying to reduce the noise that happens in all organizations. It's called coordination overhead, and it's a massive waste inside companies. And so what you're trying to do for yourself is you're trying to make sure that you are making very clear, distinct, discrete, succinct commitments, and that they all have customers associated with them. Once you start doing that, you're going to start having learning conversations, and you're also going to be able to start managing and kind of editing your own work, because you'll be able to cut out a lot of the noise and a lot of the waste and a lot of the stuff that people ask you to do that's kind of unnecessary work, and you'll be able to focus in on the areas where you can very clearly add value for your customers. If you understand who your customer is, you will also understand what it's going to take to satisfy them. And that's referred to as conditions for satisfying your customer, or conditions of satisfaction. If you don't know who your customer is, you've no idea what it is exactly you're trying to satisfy. You don't understand what the expectations are. You don't understand what you're really committing to do. You're just trying to help, and you're trying to do your best, and kudos to you for doing that. But that's not enough if you really want to be able to progress in life and progress at work and really enjoy what it is that you're doing, and begin to tailor what you're doing to fit your strengths and to fit what brings you joy and what floats your boat, which is a really important part of being alive. Most organizations also don't really allow us to say no. Saying no and offering to do something else instead, or something that is a refinement of what it was that was asked for you, is really important. So if you get asked to do something and someone says, I need you to deliver this by Friday. So remember, most people don't get to say no. Most people don't get to negotiate. So we're all living in this constant state of overwhelm. But if someone asks you to do something by Friday, it's perfectly reasonable to say to them, would you like me to deliver that to you at the end of the day on Friday? Are you going to look at it over the weekend? Or would it work if I delivered to you at the end of the day on Monday? Because people use requests to convey their sense of urgency, but they don't necessarily think about when it is they're going to review what it is that you've done for them, or when it is they're actually going to have the time to see whether or not you added value. So what you're looking to do is to understand how much room there is there to be able to allow you to make a real commitment to deliver something by the end of the day on Monday, because they may not be getting to it until Tuesday. The first couple of times you do this, it's awkward. But once you start getting into the habit, you can become incredibly effective at it, and it allows you to be able to take a lot more control over your career. The ultimate career advantage is being able to make powerful offers, and I've mentioned this in a couple of other videos, and I'll talk about it more going forward. But once you start putting yourself into the flow of making real promises, you can also start to begin making real offers, because now what you're doing is you're relying on your own intelligence and your own observations and your ability to be able to listen really well to your customers, who now have names and faces, and they're humans that you can engage with, and you can begin to look at how you can add value for them. If you're thinking in this mode, you will find that your career progression will happen a lot faster. I've seen teams that I've worked with over the years shift from task tracking, where there's lots of noise and lots of work and lots of people running around with their hair on fire, to really making real commitments with each other, where they have a level of understanding and appreciation of each other and ability to be able to get the work done. There's a lot less noise and fuss going on in the system, and they're able to focus on what it is they want to make happen together as a team. Instead of relentless task management, people then start working together on commitments to each other, and they start creating a lot more innovation in the system. The innovation in the system allows them to be able to reduce the noise and the make work type of work. One of the ways to begin to see whether or not you're ready to start playing this game for yourself is to do the promotion readiness assessment, www.getpromotedassessment.com. And by doing that, you'll be able to see whether or not you're moving yourself into managing commitments for yourself versus simply being a tasked person who gets assigned lots of tasks and spends their entire life trying to deliver them. Take the assessment, let me know how it goes, and I wish you the best of luck.